Welcome to Washington Week's digital show, Washington Week Recommends. I'm Yamiche Alcindor. Each week, I recommend great reporting that I think deserves your attention. And today, I'll be speaking with Jacqueline Charles. She's the Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald. She's been covering Haiti and international relations for years. And right now, Haiti is in the midst of a security and humanitarian crisis, dealing with political instability, dangerous armed gangs, growing hunger, and a deadly cholera outbreak. The United Nations Security Council is also considering providing urgent international support and military aid, a move that the Biden administration reportedly supports. So, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Washington Week Recommends. I've known you since I started in journalism. You're the best reporter on this beat. I wanted to set level set for people, for folks who maybe aren't familiar with what's going on with Haiti. What makes this moment in particular different? We've had obviously poverty and other things, but this moment is critical for Haiti. Explain.
Well, somebody said, imagine if the United States went 6 weeks without fuel, what would happen? And that's where we are in Haiti. It's now 6 weeks where a gang has been blocking the main fuel terminal. Hospitals are closing. Schools cannot start. It's over 2 million children. At the same time, we've got widespread protests. Food programs have been looted, including WFP, charities. You mentioned a growing hunger. Food prices have gone up over 52%, 88% if you're trying to buy cooking oil, if you're lucky to find it in some places. And then we have cholera. Haiti had not had a case of cholera in more than 3 years. They thought they were on the road to eradicating this, and now it's come back, and it's even spreading in our prisons. I received a text message just, a week ago that said no more water is available for the jail in Grandance, which is just the western part of Haiti where the earthquake hit last year. So just imagine, you need fuel in this country for everything. It doesn't have a workable electrical grid. So you need fuel in order to treat water, and you need water in order to treat cholera. So the place really is looking at an unprecedented humanitarian crisis on top of the gang violence that we're seeing. They have launched several deadly attacks, one of which over the summer led to over 470 people either being killed or missing. The United Nations is talking about sexual violence that is now being used by the gangs. The stories are just horrible, when you just listen to the details of what the suffering has turned out to be.
And Jackie, as you sort of really described all the heartbreaking situations that we're in, I want to read part of what Haiti's foreign minister had to say. He said, the people of Haiti are not living, they are surviving. So I want to ask you, what's it like to be an average Haitian person trying to live through this? And what are people saying on the ground?
The average Haitian person is living in a situation where, they don't have a visa or a passport to get on a plane, much less a car to drive across the border to get some relief. They are living in a community where if they just stick their head out, they don't know if they're going to get shot. They don't know if they're going to get kidnapped. They don't know if they're going to get raped, and often in front of their children. When we're talking about women, we've seen reports of young girls, that are also being raped by gang members. They are living in this constant fear. They're living in a situation of distrust. They don't know if the police is there to help them or to harm them, because they hear reports of people being kidnapped by individuals dressed in police uniforms. The police themselves are not going into these, large sprawling slums because there's no guarantee that they're going to come out alive. We saw that last year where 5 police officers went in an armored vehicle. Till this day, their bodies have not been retrieved. So imagine that, if you have some sort of an illness, and if you're lucky enough to get out, but the hospital is closed because there's no fuel for electricity for the generator. Or in the case of women in the outskirts of Port-au-Prince who need to get C-sections, and they're told, okay, we can do it, but you need to go find 15 gallons of fuel. And on the black market, fuel is being sold for $40 a gallon. This is the reality of Haiti. And I think often people don't have an appreciation for what is happening, because people talk about Haitians being resilient, but at some point you say, how much more can you take? How much more resilience can you have? Are children not entitled to, a right to an education? Are they not entitled to run outside and just have play dates? When I was last there, I was at a hotel, and it was crowded because people don't go to the beach anymore. And I was talking to a young man who had just graduated, and he says, me and my friends, we still, go out, but we know that it's a big risk. We know that we can be killed or kidnapped. And it's awful to think that that is the reality of every day. So as, the foreign ministry said today, Haiti is in a race against time.
A race against time. Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was also, for people who aren't paying attention to Haiti day in, day out, like me and you, and with you covering it daily and me reading a lot of that coverage, the last time people maybe checked in on this country was July 7th, 2021, when the late president, Jovenel Moise, was assassinated, shocked the world. I wonder what's the latest about that investigation, and how, if at all, is his assassination contributing to the crisis that we're seeing now?
Well, his assassination basically created a political vacuum because at the time that President Jovenel Moise was killed, he was ruling by a decree. There were protests against him. There was controversy about when his presidential term actually ended. There were attacks against people in the private sector. So this was a very tumultuous time. You had, members of the U.S. Congress asking the Biden administration to remove him from power and to support a transitional government. Haiti had no functioning parliament, no functioning judiciary. And just to give you an idea, like down the street from where the president lived, the head of the Bar Association had been assassinated, and his murder still had not, provided any results. So here we are today, more than a year later. We still don't know who killed the president. There's still no official charges that have been brought against more than 40 individuals who are currently in jail, including 3 Haitian Americans and, more than 18, Colombians that are there. The U.S. investigation is a parallel investigation. It is ongoing. We have 3 suspects who are in jail. We understand that a trial may happen sometime next year after it was postponed. But honestly, today we still don't know the motive and who are the real intellectual authors. In Haiti itself, the investigation, you can say, is stalled. They're on their 5th judge. He still hasn't produced any, notes to say, okay, I've heard from these suspects and here's my conclusion, or here are the official charges. So I think all of that, right? All of that is sort of adding to the chaos, but it's also indicative of what this country has been undergoing. Let's be clear, the crisis that you have in Haiti today did not start because the president was killed. It's not something that was created overnight. It has been on a downward spiral, and Haitians, for years have been screaming for, hey, we're in trouble. Hey, things need to happen. We're going in the wrong direction. And now what you were seeing is a situation where gangs are attacking the courthouse, taking it over, blocking fuel, food, and other critical supplies. You're going into grocery stores and the shelves are empty, but yet, at the ports, there are hundreds of containers that are stuck there, cannot get out. And again, we've got these anti-government protests where people are frustrated. They're asking for the resignation of the current interim prime minister who is running this country, but without a functioning parliament, without a judiciary. And at the same time, people are saying, hey, you need to move out of the way. We need to get in there. We need to do something different. So there's a lot of uncertainty today. And there's been a lot of calls by the UN to the Haiti's political actors, the politicians and civil society that says, hey, it's time to get your act together. Put aside your partisan politics. Let's think about the country. That This humanitarian crisis should be an incentive.
And you talk about the UN. I want to ask you about that. But before I ask you about what's going on in the UN, I have to ask you, why do you think Americans should care? Because obviously, this is a country that has a long relationship with Haiti. Haitians, I have to remind folks, fought in the U.S. Revolutionary War. There's a monument to Haitians in Savannah, Georgia, because Haitians helped the United States get their independence. But I wonder, when you think about this question of why should Americans care, where do you arrive? And also, what do we know about how much the Biden administration cares?
Well, I would say also, Louisiana wouldn't exist to be part of the United States if it wasn't for Haiti and the Haitian Revolution, Napoleon needing those funds. But, this is a country that's 2 hours from our shores. This is not Ukraine. This is not Afghanistan. It's not around the world. It's right here. And in the United States, we have a very vibrant Haitian American community that contributes, that pays taxes, that hold political office today. Every 4 years when this country is going to an election, they go out of their way to go to this community, to ask for its vote, to ask for its support. And frankly, the United States has had its hands in Haiti for a very long time. People today, in terms of talking about intervention, they point to the fact that in 1915, after another Haitian president was assassinated, the U.S. basically, occupied Haiti for about 19 years. And a lot of the structures that the U.S. put up today then continue to exist today. So, those who think that the United States have not been involved in Haiti's policy, or as some people have criticized them, choosing winners and losers in the country's elections, has been the case. And I think, but that has also affected U.S. policy today, where I think the administration is concerned about that criticism. They don't want to be seen as that they are putting their hands on the scale. And so what you see often is kind of like this, what do we do? We're not sure what to do. You see them trying to build consensus. But, this is a community that's divided in Haiti, outside of Haiti. Any decision that you take is going to be criticized. So it's a very difficult position. And does the administration care? It's a question that I asked Karine Jean-Pierre. They say they care, but I think for a lot of people, the proof is in the pudding, and they are waiting to see. I mean, we have seen the United States in the last couple of weeks say, hey, we support the sanctions against gangs and those who finance gangs. And they wrote the resolution that was voted unanimously, in the UN Security Council. They are also supporting some sort of, foreign intervention troops, to help the Haitian National Police. This is not to go and take over and do the job, but the way it's written is that they will go with the police and do anti-gang operations. Because imagine, these gangs have AK-47s, automatic weapons, and the police a lot of times have pistols, and they don't even have bulletproof vests. And you're telling them to go up against gangs. So there's a recognition that that the police need help, and they cannot take this on themselves. But who is going to do it? Who is going to feel that force that's going to go in? And the last thing I will say is that, the United States is a huge contributor to the Haitian National Police. The U.S. built that police force, rebuilt that police force. And the reason Haiti doesn't have an army today is because of the U.S. And the U.S. has an arms embargo against Haiti. So U.S. is very implicated in Haiti. And I think that's why, Americans should care.
And update us on the United Nations and this military aid. Is it going to happen? And clear something up, because Haitian Twitter, Haitian WhatsApp, which maybe some of our viewers aren't on, they're saying Haiti's being invaded. Pay attention. Those are false claims, it seems. Explain that.
Those are false claims. I mean, let's remember that this was a country that had a United Nations stabilization force. And there was a decision, and it was led by the U.S., that pushed to have that force come out of Haiti. And there were real questions at the time whether or not the Haitian National Police was in a position that it could take care of the security of this country on its own. And so today there's a recognition. I mean, let's do the numbers. You're talking about a population of 12 million people, a police force that's barely 12,000. That's below the international standard of ratio police officer to population. As I mentioned, they are ill-equipped. They don't have access to, if they have automatic weapons, it's because they've confiscated them from the gangs. Often they don't even have ammunition. I myself have been on the road with police officers. I've been embedded with them. I see where, young guys just out of the academy, they don't even have bulletproof vests, or they don't have a plate. And you're asking them to go up against vicious gangs. So what is being proposed is that, look, we need to get in some armed force to accompany the police. You see this in Jamaica all of the time, where the Jamaica Defense Force goes out with the police when they go on these anti-gang operations, and get some deployment in there quickly, so that you can create what they're calling a humanitarian corridor, so that you can address the cholera, they can get the medication to people, they can save some lives, and then after you've helped the police regain control of the seaports, the roads, what do you do now? And that is a recognition that the Haitian National Police really needs some help. And the UN Secretary General has put some security options before them. But he's been clear that if these things don't happen, it may be a case where Haiti has to go back under a peacekeeping mission, because it is now a threat to regional security. I think that's what people have to realize. Increasingly, we're seeing the Haitian problem spill out into the region. And that's what we're hearing from CARICOM leaders, this concern that we're having a gun trafficking problem, we're having a migration problem, we're having all of these other issues, and it's spilling out from Haiti. So do we want to become, the regional problem here?
Yeah. And I mean, it's so much. And the other thing I want to ask you is and pivot a bit here. You told me to listen to this podcast called Deportation by Design. You're part of the team that put it together. It's an incredible podcast that really makes connections between the current immigration systems in the United States, how they're connected to the way that the United States treated Haitians when they first came here in the 70s. Could talk a little bit about that connection.
Well, let's continue, talk and opinions about, U.S. policy, immigration policy toward Haitians. I mean, we've had over 25,000 Haitians that have been, returned to Haiti despite, what's happening in that country, in comparison to how other groups have, are treated. And what you see in this is, in fact, yes, how, you had two countries, Haiti and Cuba, and you had both of these countries that were dealing with economic problems. They were dealing with dictators or, leaders that had these dictatorial policies. But one was considered a communist country, which is Cuba, and Haiti was not. And despite the fact that Jean-Claude Duvalier, and prior to that, his father, Papa Doc, were killing people, forcing people into exile, shutting down free press, the United States continued to support these dictators because they weren't going to communism. So when you see, that history and you think about today, it goes back to your question in terms of why should we care? And it's because we have not, we're not innocent in all of this. We've carried out certain policies that have brought us to this moment. And today we are in the largest Haitian boat migration crisis since 2004. Haitians are fleeing because they don't feel safe. And if they don't make it to land, they are turned around. And even if they make it to land, there's absolutely no guarantee that they will be allowed to remain in the United States. And often they are put back on a plane and shipped back.
And Jackie, before we have to recognize the unfortunate passing of Mika Ben. He was 41 years old, this musician who had his whole life in front of him, his family. I've been looking at them online. He has a wife and children and a child on the way. Talk a bit about your reporting on his life, his music, and what it means to the Haitian community to have lost this young man.
Every time I think about Mika Ben, I think back to 2012, 2 years after the devastating 2010 Haiti earthquake that left over 300,000 people dead. And we were on this barren mountain where thousands of bodies had been buried, in mass graves because you had to do something. And there was a commemoration event. And I remember President Clinton was there and other officials. And Mika Ben got on the mic and he started to sing the song. And the song is Haiti is. And when you listen to the lyrics of this song, it's just a reminder that despite all the reporting that I'm doing and all of the negative things that are happening and the chaos and the grimness of what's happening in this country today and the sense of hopelessness, this is a beautiful country. I mean, we have, I'm Haitian, right? We have things that we can identify with, whether you've ever lived in Haiti, visited, or just know that you've got Haitian blood. There are things that happened to you while you were growing up or cultural touchstones. And he managed to just put this into this music and into this lyric and give Haitians something to feel proud about at a time when there's just a lot of darkness. It was a moment of light. So, he was performing in France, in Paris with the group Karimi, over 15,000 people listening to this Haitian group singing in Creole. They do some songs in English, but singing in Creole. And they managed to fill this in a historical moment. And then he's wrapped in the Haitian flag. And then after he performs, giving it all as he always does, he collapsed. And so I think that his death for Haitians and fans of Haitian music everywhere is just a reminder of how fragile life is. It was one kick that, the community did not need. But what you're seeing is that Haitians are sort of, not thinking about the negative for now and trying to find a way to come around and to celebrate his life and to celebrate the fact that here was a young man who really was striving to put Haitian culture on the map, and in his free time devoted it to children, devoted it to his own organization that he did, just because he wanted to give back. And I can just tell you, you meet a lot of celebrities and they're often kind of like unapproachable, but he really was the most humble of person. You walk up to him and he would talk to you as if He's known you all your life. And he was just wonderful. And he wasn't interested in, making millions and being a superstar or anything. He just wanted to sing, and he wanted to just put a different figure on his country, and which is what he did.
Yeah. Well, it's so sad. We definitely send our condolences to his family. Mika Ben will definitely be missed. And Jackie, I wanted to pick one story and I couldn't, because usually on Washington Week Recommends, we have, here's something that you should read. And I was like, you should read about 10, 15 stories. You should listen to this 8-part podcast, because that's how much your work and sister, you are put in the work. I recognize you. I see you. You were the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists of the Year. So you are just a superstar. And I am grateful that you came on the show, grateful to call you a friend. So thank you so much, Jackie, for joining us and for sharing your reporting. And thanks to all of you for watching Washington Week Recommends. We're going to be here. You can find us here every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to tune in to Washington Week tonight on PBS. We'll be discussing the midterm elections and all of the different developments that are going on. Thanks again. We'll see you this evening.